It is the most common, yet the most heavily debated and taboo aspect of human sexuality. For centuries, masturbation has been called a moral failure, a medical disease, and even a deadly sin. But modern evolutionary biology, psychiatry, and neuroscience tell a completely different story. It is not just a mechanism for stress relief. It is an ancient adaptive survival strategy, woven deeply into our DNA. Let's travel back 40 million years. Evolutionary biologists long considered autosexual behavior a paradox. Why would an animal waste precious energy and genetic material on an act that doesn't produce offspring? The answer lies in the intense mating competition among early primates. First, we have the sperm quality hypothesis. In a multi-male mating system, males who copulate often need the freshest, most mobile sperm. By masturbating before actual intercourse, a male primate expels the old, dead, and low-quality sperm. This ensures that when he finally mates with a female, his seed is brand new and highly competitive. The second reason is even more critical: pathogen avoidance. In the wild, sexually transmitted diseases can easily wipe out a population. For male primates, post-copulatory masturbation acts as a mechanical wash. The high pressure forcefully flushes out dangerous pathogens from the reproductive tract. Additionally, natural bactericidal chemicals in the seminal fluid act as a defensive shield. As humanity evolved, so did our cultural understanding of this act. In ancient Sumeria and Egypt, it was not a sin. It was the absolute source of creation. According to Sumerian myth, the god Enki created the mighty Tigris and Euphrates rivers by masturbating. In ancient Egypt, the supreme creator god Adam created the entire universe by spilling his own seed into the void. However, in ancient Greece, the perception drastically changed. The Greeks saw male sexuality as a tool of power and conquest. Self-pleasure was considered passive, a weakness fit only for slaves or barbarians. But the cynical philosopher Diogenes openly protested this hypocrisy. He openly masturbated in the Athenian marketplace, famously saying, "If only I could soothe my hunger by simply rubbing my belly." In ancient Eastern philosophies, the act was tied to vital life energy. Traditional Chinese medicine viewed semen as the physical form of universal yang energy. Wasting this seed was believed to rapidly age a man, draining his immune system and soul. Interestingly, women were believed to have yin energy, which was not depleted by orgasm. The Abrahamic religions approached the act mostly through the lens of moral discipline. In Islamic jurisprudence, it is generally discouraged or forbidden, except to prevent worse sins like adultery. In traditional Judaism, the story of Onan spilling his seed on the ground was heavily condemned. And in Buddhism, it was seen as a worldly attachment that prevented spiritual enlightenment. But the most traumatic turning point in human history happened in the 18th century. Historians call it the Great Terror. In 1758, a Swiss doctor named Samuel Tissot published a terrifying medical book. He falsely claimed that losing 1 ounce of semen was equal to losing 40 ounces of blood. Tissot convinced all of Europe that masturbation caused blindness, spinal decay, and sudden death. Victorian doctors invented a fake disease called spermaturia to diagnose young men. This mass medical paranoia led to absolute madness in the 19th century. Enter Dr. John Harvey Kellogg, an extremist doctor running a sanitarium in Michigan. Kellogg believed that spicy and flavorful foods triggered dangerous sexual desires. To completely destroy the libido of his patients, he invented a completely bland, tasteless breakfast. Yes, Kellogg's Corn Flakes were originally designed as an anti-masturbation medicine. He also used horrifying, traumatic mechanical devices to physically stop teenagers in their sleep. While men were diagnosed with vital energy loss, women were diagnosed with hysteria. Ancient doctors believed a woman's womb would detach and wander around her body if she was sexually frustrated. This caused anxiety, depression, and madness. Thankfully, modern neuroscience finally destroyed these medieval myths. When human sexual arousal begins, the brain initiates a massive chemical cascade. The ventral tegmental area unleashes a flood of dopamine. Contrary to popular belief, dopamine isn't just pleasure. It's the molecule of intense desire and motivation. At the peak of climax, the nervous system suddenly shifts gears. A massive wave of oxytocin and endorphins floods the brain. fMRI scans show that during orgasm, the logical prefrontal cortex completely shuts down. The brain activation in the cerebellum looks exactly like a heroin rush, but immediately after, the brain releases prolactin to suppress the dopamine overdrive. This creates the refractory period, a biological brake system. The 19th century doctors thought this extreme relaxation was the draining of life energy. They were completely wrong. It is simply the brain protecting itself from neurochemical burnout. Psychologically, this process is an incredibly powerful self-soothing mechanism. It reduces anxiety, numbs physical pain, and improves sleep. However, in the modern digital age, this ancient system has been completely hacked. Unlimited access to highly stimulating adult content creates an unnatural dopamine tsunami. To protect itself, the brain initiates receptor downregulation, permanently reducing dopamine receptors. This causes extreme numbness. Normal life activities no longer provide any joy. In 2022, the World Health Organization officially recognized this dark side. They classified it as compulsive sexual behavior disorder, CSBD. It is when the act becomes the sole focus of life, destroying relationships and careers. But there is a very important exception. If a person feels guilty simply because their culture or religion says it is a sin, they cannot be diagnosed with CSBD. The pathology lies in the loss of control, not in the moral panic.